There's a decent chance somebody in your family still has a washing machine from the 1980s sitting in a basement, avocado green, original motor, still running every week. Meanwhile, the Samsung front loader in your laundry room is 4 years old, walking across the floor on the spin cycle, and the repair quote came back higher than the machine cost. And no, you didn't get the lemon. There is a specific aluminum part inside that washer that was going to do this on a schedule. I'm going to name the brands, name the models, and give you the 4 things that decide whether an appliance sees 8 years or 20, and none of the 4 are the things printed on the yellow energy sticker. I'm Rick Dawson, and I fix these machines for a living. Here is the rule underneath all of it. Every feature a manufacturer bolts onto an appliance is another part that can fail, and almost none of those parts are the ones doing the work. The motor spinning your drum is not what breaks. What breaks is the touchscreen, the moisture sensor, the water valve feeding the ice maker in the door, the control board running a steam cycle you have used twice. Learn that rule, and you can walk into any appliance store in 10 years, look at a machine nobody has reviewed yet, and know roughly how long it lives. Model numbers expire. This does not. Start with washing machines because that is where it costs the most. The feature that adds the failure point is the spin cycle. A front loader spins a heavy stainless drum sideways at over 1,000 RPM. And something has to join that drum to the shaft that turns it. That something is a 3-armed aluminum casting called a spider bracket. Now the villain. Aluminum bolted to stainless steel, sitting in warm water and detergent, is a textbook galvanic cell. The stainless wins, the aluminum corrodes, and the arms crack. Technicians see this most on the Korean-built front loaders, Samsung and LG in particular, typically somewhere between year 3 and year 8. Here is how to catch it early, and this is the part nobody tells you. Pull the drain filter behind the little door at the bottom front of the machine. If you find gray or silver plastic-looking shards in there, that is not plastic. That is your spider bracket coming apart and washing out in pieces. Once the arms fully break, the drum takes the bearing and the outer tub seal with it, and you are looking at a repair that runs past $500 on a machine that sold for $800. That is why so many 5-year-old front loaders go to the curb instead of a repair shop. So what do you actually buy? At the top, there is one real answer, and it is the Speed Queen TC5003WN. It is a top loader. It runs about $1,100, and it carries a 5-year parts and labor warranty at a time when almost everyone else offers 1 year. That warranty is the whole argument. No company puts 5 years of free labor on a machine it expects to fail in 6. Inside, there is a real transmission, a steel base with heavy-duty springs, a dial instead of a screen, and no lid lock. Consumer Reports will tell you it is loud and hard on fabrics, and they are right. It is also still running when the quiet one is in a landfill. If you want a front loader, buy Whirlpool or Maytag before the Korean brands, and buy the model at the bottom of the lineup. There is a second one worth knowing, and it is the one nobody at the big box store will walk you over to. The Maytag MVWP575GW. It comes off Maytag's commercial assembly line. It has a dual-action agitator, a stainless steel wash basket, a half-horsepower motor, and thick galvanized steel panels, and it carries a 10-year limited parts warranty with all parts and labor covered for the first 5 years. That is longer coverage than the Speed Queen gets. It costs less, it is rough on clothes, and the capacity is small by modern standards. But when a manufacturer puts 10 years of parts behind a washing machine, they have told you exactly what they know about it, and nobody does that by accident.
What I would skip in a top loader is the impeller model, the one with a flat wash plate in the bottom and no agitator. Those get sold on capacity, so people fill them to the rim, and an overloaded wash plate strips the splines out of the hub underneath it. The feature that sells the machine is the feature that kills it, which by now you can probably see coming. And here is what you control, which matters more than the badge. The spider corrodes faster when residue sits on it, so use powder detergent rather than liquid and do not underdose it. Too little detergent is as bad as too much because it stops holding soil and minerals in suspension and they deposit on the metal instead. Skip liquid fabric softener entirely. It coats everything in wax. Run the tub clean cycle once a month with chlorine bleach and leave the door cracked open between loads. Do all of that and the same washer that dies at year 5 in one house is still going at year 12 in another. Dryers are the one category where I am not going to name a villain, and that is the point. There is no feature worth paying for. A dryer is a drum, a belt, a motor, a heating element, and a thermostat. And that design has not meaningfully changed since the 1960s. A $500 Whirlpool or a Mana with a dial on the front and a $1,400 machine with a touchscreen and a steam cycle dry a load of towels identically. The expensive one just has more ways to quit. The villain is not inside the machine at all. It is the vent behind it. Every load pushes lint down that duct, and over a few years, the run narrows until the dryer cannot push moist air out of the drum. So the clothes stay damp, so you run a second cycle, so the element and the thermostat cycle far more than they were built to, and eventually one of them fails. People replace the element, the duct is still packed, and the new element dies exactly the same way. So buy the cheapest basic dryer with a dial from Whirlpool, Amana, or GE and put the money you saved into a vent brush. Clean the lint screen every single load. Pull the duct off the back once a year and clear the whole run to the wall. Do that and a $500 dryer runs 20 years. Skip it and a $1,400 one will not see 8. That is the widest gap between good care and bad in this entire video, and it costs an afternoon. Ranges have the same shape, except the thing destroying your machine is a button the manual told you to press. The feature is self-clean. Self-clean locks the door and drives the oven cavity up around 900 degrees to turn everything inside it to ash. That is hundreds of degrees hotter than the oven ever gets while you are cooking. And the control board, the door lock motor, and the thermal fuse sitting directly behind that cavity were never built to sit through it. A large share of dead ovens fail within a day or two of a self-clean cycle. And the board that dies usually costs more than the range is worth. There is no brand that survives this well, which is why I am naming the cycle instead of a manufacturer. What to buy? If you have a gas line, take it. A gas range with mechanical valves and a standing igniter has almost nothing electronic in it, and those routinely go 20 years. For electric, GE and Whirlpool are the safe picks. Elements are a 20-minute swap for about $40, and most of them run 12 to 15 years. On induction, one warning. It cooks better than anything else, but the inverter boards driving those coils are expensive and specific to the exact model. When one fails on a budget unit, the bill lands in the same range as a new range. So buy induction from a manufacturer that will still stock that board in 8 years. And what you control is simple. Never press self-clean. Use oven cleaner and a scraper. It is an unpleasant hour and it buys you years. Refrigerators are where this gets genuinely expensive and where I can put numbers on it. The feature is the compressor. LG sells what it calls a linear compressor, marketed as quieter, more efficient, and longer lasting, and promoted with a 10-year compressor warranty. Then reality showed up. Consumer Reports found in their 2019 survey that 8% of LG French door refrigerators had compressor problems against 3% of refrigerators overall. In 2020, LG settled a class action covering units built between 2014 and 2017, paying qualifying owners anywhere from $50 to more than $3,500 plus extended warranty coverage, while maintaining the refrigerators were not defective. That did not end it. In November 2024, more than 40 plaintiffs filed again in New Jersey federal court, this time covering LG refrigerators built since January 2018, and another suit followed in New York in November 2025. Here is why it matters mechanically. When a linear compressor dies, it is a sealed system repair, which means recovering refrigerant, brazing the line, and pulling a vacuum. That is a $600 to $900 job, and it is why so many 5 to 7-year-old refrigerators get hauled to the curb instead of fixed. A plain reciprocating compressor is less efficient, and it will outlive the kitchen. The second villain in this category is the ice and water dispenser in the door. To put ice in a door, you run a water line through a hinge, then hold a freezing compartment inside a section of the refrigerator that is supposed to stay above freezing. That takes an insulated box, a damper, a heater to keep the damper from icing over, and a fan pulling cold air up from the freezer. 5 failure points added so you do not have to open a drawer. So buy a basic top freezer with a mechanical thermostat, no ice maker, and no display from Frigidaire, GE, or Whirlpool. About $700, 20 years, and almost nothing on it costs more than $60 to fix. If you want a French door, get one with the ice maker down in the freezer drawer, and Bosch is the brand technicians actually put in their own houses. And if you already own an LG, go look up your model on LG's warranty checker right now, because the settlement extended compressor parts coverage to 10 years, and most owners have no idea they have it. What you control here is where the ice gets made. Ice made in the freezer is a solved problem. Ice made inside a refrigerator door is a fight against physics running every hour of every day for the life of the machine. Dishwashers I can do fast because there is barely a decision. Buy a Bosch 300 series or above, stainless tub, a filter you unscrew and rinse by hand instead of a grinder, and the quietest machines on the market. Plastic tubs warp and hold smell. The hard food disposer is loud, and it is one more motor waiting to fail. The third rack is genuinely useful, and the Wi-Fi is not. And what kills dishwashers is that filter nobody knows is down there. Pull it once a month and rinse it under the tap, and you skip the 2 most common calls in the category, which are a machine that will not drain and one that leaves grit baked onto everything. And no, do not rinse the dishes first. The detergent needs something to bite into. Run the rule back through all 5. Every failure I just named came from a part added to sell the machine rather than to run it. The linear compressor, the ice in the door, the steam cycle, the self-clean button, the aluminum spider holding a drum it was too cheap to hold. Strip all of that off, and what is left is a motor, a pump, and an element. And those have been lasting 20 years since that avocado green washer went into your grandmother's basement. I open these machines up every week, and there is a version of this video for every one of them. The failure nobody warns you about, the part worth paying extra for, the repair that is never worth doing. I will keep making them. I'm Rick Dawson.